Hello everybody, welcome back, and sorry for neglecting this channel. As most of you know who follow this, I've got another baby on the way and it's due any minute now, which basically means that the other half is walking around like a giant Christmas pudding, unable to do anything. So it basically means that I finish work, I come back, I cook, I clean, I put the little one to bed, I do absolutely everything. And the worst thing is that this is the easy part, because soon I'll have a little baby crying in my ear and an incapacitated missus. So, you know, this is meant to be the easy part. So, but unfortunately, it means I've neglected this channel. So, this is probably the first video I've made in days, maybe even 5 days or so. So, sorry about that. I will try to keep it as regular as possible. But if you want to, and like I say, if you want to join in on my Telegram group, feel free to join that. There's a lot of other contributors on there that do have valuable opinions, some even more than mine. So let's have a look at what's going on. So we're looking at Bitcoin here in the 4 hourly. The only reason we're looking at the 4 hourly is because it would appear, well, it doesn't appear, it's definitely happened. We've got ourselves a golden cross on the 4 hourly. This often likes to play out, and it looks like it's probably played out at the moment. Now, I am expecting a bit of a pullback, but to be honest with you, this could suggest now that maybe the bottom is in. Maybe. But not necessarily, but probably. The reason I say that is that when golden crosses play out on 4 hours, which they have happened several times throughout this this bull trend and the bear trend that we've had, there's been a lot of golden crosses. When I say a lot, there's been a few. There was one here, so we came back down, had a giant bounce, forging a golden cross here. We came back down here, and this is the most interesting one back at this level. This is the one that people were talking about and referring to because this almost happened, and the giant bounce almost caused it, and then it didn't. And then because it didn't, we completely died. Came all the way down to this level here, which, you know, is the biggest. That's the biggest, fastest drop that Bitcoin had last year. Well, actually, that's not completely true, is it? But yeah, it was a giant drop all the same. So anyway, what happened shortly after then is we had a bounce, and what did we have? We had a golden cross. Now this bounce was that one where it went basically $3,000 in one go. You're going to get a golden cross form after something like that. We had one form here, and did we have continuation? No, unfortunately we didn't have continuation. So this one was forged out of a giant bounce. Now what's happened here is that this is slightly more organic than all these others. But bear in mind, you have golden crosses in bear trend. This is the beginning of a bear trend. We had a giant bounce and a golden cross and a continuation down. We had a giant bounce, a golden cross, and a continuation down. Now what we had here was a giant bounce, but on this occasion I do believe that this golden cross will actually play out a little bit more, and perhaps if we do come down to test any levels, it'll be around this level here, between this level being 7,400 and maybe, depending on where the green 50 is, 7,600. I think if we do come back down to test any of those levels, that could perhaps maybe be one of the last opportunities we've got to buy at a lower price before we start to reach big highs again. Not absolute certain about this, because there's been a few little spanners thrown in the works. One spanner is that this would have continued down, almost certainly would have continued down. This was still on its way down. I'm 65 to maybe 70% certain that this definitely would have gone down if it wasn't for that whole Iran business. Now, that the Iran thing caused a pump, and that pump forged this golden cross. Definitely the golden cross is likely to continue now because it has a golden cross, and it's slightly more organic than these, because all these golden crosses in this bear trend have been forced out of giant pumps, and I mean giant pumps. I mean, what was this one from the bottom here to the top before the golden cross? That's basically an 18%. This one, I mean, this one was enormous. I mean, what would this be? This is huge. This pump from bottom to top is 41%. That's ridiculous. Now this pump here, I believe it was around this level, wasn't it, where the Iran business really kicked off. This from top to bottom here is what began to forge this, and it's only 7.5%. But what we were seeing now is that we were seeing this this pump took place because we double bottomed on this significant area here, which, you know, in retrospect could have been the bottom, but we were just testing it. I wanted to see if we went low. I thought we were probably going to go a little lower. We didn't, but we bounced huge, and this was a bounce. This is just a bounce, okay? But bounces can have continuation. They can have significant continuation. So we had one bounce there, lifting the green 50 and lifting the price above the descending trend, which is what we had here. And then because we didn't come back, straight back down straight away, we leveled out a bit here, giving these two guys, the 50 and the 200, time to get more well acquainted with each other, which is what happened here. Now, on our way back down, the Iran business kicked off, and that has basically caused this run here in anticipation of this, and now we're going to have continuation of this. But is it enough to keep us above these levels? Hopefully it is. If you want to make your money on Bitcoin, that would be. Now, we broke above this area here, this 7,750, which is where we were tapping our way around several times in the past. Now, we broke above there, which is a significant area to break above, and to hold above there would be significant too. So if we come back down to test here, that would be our first opportunity to bounce, and that would be 7,750. Definite support level there. I'm actually going to put that in now, because this descending trend doesn't really hold any relevance other than for historical trend. Sorry, I can't get my words out. You can tell I'm tired. I'm always tired, you know that. But we'll keep it in there for the moment, just in case we do fall down. It might become a support, so we'll keep it in for the moment. But shortly, it's not going to be relevant much longer. I mean, it's going to go to zero eventually. So we'll keep it in for the moment. Anyway, that is our next support level there. The next two beneath that are basically going to be moving averages, and they're going to be moving, and they're going to be moving quite steeply at the moment. That's on the 4 hourly. On the daily, what we're looking at now on the daily. So the daily still looks, you know, technically bearish to neutral, but it doesn't look bad. We're being rejected here on the, of course, 200 moving average, the exponential moving average, obviously, and this is why basically I generally trade with moving averages, because they're so reliable, generally speaking. Because we've been rejected from there, which is, look, it's an obvious rejection point. It happened. These things, they have such significance to them, you cannot do without them. So no big surprise there. We got rejected from there. So we're going to have a range now of this level here, 7,750, and currently, as it stands right now, currently 8,150 thereabouts. So about a 5.5%, which is basically today's move, which is fine. If we can stay above this level here, it's going to give this guy a chance to move up, and obviously a golden cross taking place on a daily will be extremely bullish. Now, I'd like to trade also with the Ichimoku cloud, so we're stuck in the middle of a cloud, and above that cloud we have, well, basically more or less blue skies. But being in the cloud is always a no trade zone. That's generally the rule. But within this, anything can happen. We could break our way above there, and that this area, this moving average here, which is again the price that we rejected from today, would be a significant area to break above. It would be really good to break above that level. But we still have a little bit of cloud left. But to be honest with you, we're so towards the top that we probably wouldn't find too much problem breaking out of there. And then we've got historical areas to break above at that level, probably around this level here, upper 8,000s. And then really what we want to do is we want to get into the high 9,000s, around this level here, which corresponds with these support levels and also this rejection level. That price basically being 9,500, then it would basically be bullish. After then we would basically go bullish, and it wouldn't surprise me if that bullish move really took off and made eventually higher highs than this all-time high of last year. But it's still early days. We're being rejected here, no big deal, as to be expected. But if we break down from here, then we could obviously start to make our way back down again. The problem I got again is the whole Iran business caused a lot of this, and I liked it. For years before I traded crypto, I used to trade commodities, and commodities are things like oil are very susceptible to pumps to do with tensions in other countries, the Middle East, and things like that. What you'd find, and what you still find, is when there's a problem in the Middle East, where all the oil is, there'd be a huge pump. And I mean, sometimes, and we're talking commodities here. They do like to make big moves. This is why I like to trade them. You could quite easily see, 2 to 5% increase in a day. But when something like this happens, you'd get something like 10% in a day. Oil prices. Now, those oil prices generally didn't hold for very long. Maybe give them a week or two. And then they would start to slowly trickle back down to the price that they were at before. Now, oil is completely different because oil has to be at a relatively affordable level because the world would stand still at high oil prices. So they do get brought down and they have to be brought back down. But what I'm talking about is the reaction to a political event, such as, like I say, a war, or the anticipation of a war. So I'm quite mindful that this pump was born out of the problem in Iran, and even though it's a completely different asset, Bitcoin, its value is looked upon completely different to that of oil, but the move was very similar. So and it's the first time I've really seen this happen with a cryptocurrency, so it's new to me. I don't know how it will react, if it will hold its value. I like to look at things on a TA basis, but because I've got, like I say, that experience of trading commodities in the past, it does remind me that it can trickle back down again to where it was valued originally. So there is that. Anyway, let's move on from Bitcoin, because like I say, this is the situation at the moment. We're trading within this range, 7,750 to basically our rejection point here of 8,150. Let's move to Matic. So Matic sats have been clearly knocked out. Now, I've not really had much time to look at anything for a while now, because of this baby business that's going on in my house. But I do look at it on my phone quite regularly, and even though charts aren't very good to look at on a phone, in fact they're pretty terrible, they do bring things down to a very basic, simple level. And what I looked at was Matic on daily time frame. You look at Matic on the daily, you can see that the Bollinger Band's beginning to pinch. When you get a pinching Bollinger Band area, it means that there's likely to be a move of relative volatility. On this occasion, we had it pinched. Now this is a different setup altogether, because we had basically a golden cross form on Sats and then on Tether, so we had a big nice break to the up. This one, it's not a downward slope, definitely not, but we are trading still beneath all major moving averages, which unfortunately is not a great. It's not good at all. There's not really a bottom trend I can really map out for this. I can try, but it's very rough, and it's kind of irrelevant. But there is a sort of a move going on here. You could perhaps argue that there's an ascending triangle, perhaps maybe forming. Let's try another little one in here. And again, for what this is worth, it's not worth much. It's not really worth anything. We can't put a top in there. So what I'm going to say is that we might have an ascending support level here going on, which could maybe cause a bit of a bounce, but then that bounce is going to likely ricochet off these guys here, and you can see how close they're getting now. They're getting very close. Let's measure these out. It's a very, very small area, just under 5%. This would form a death cross, and this would be it for Matic. It could completely just die as a result of that. What are we going to have on Tether? I'll go on Tether on the... So because Bitcoin's looking so bullish at the moment, a death cross will likely form on the on the Satoshi values relatively soon, because Matic is kind of staying still with a slight bearish moves recently. So yeah, we could quite easily have death crosses on both of these. But let's see how this bounces, if at all. If it bounces, then great. If it doesn't, then we've got the bottom of the Bollinger Band and see if that bounces from there. If it doesn't bounce from there, then we are kind of, it will be over shortly for Matic, and we could come back down to this level here, 1.126 cent. But you know, I am always hopeful with Matic. You know, I do love this coin. It's made me a lot of money. Which is why we like to look at it on this channel, because when it moves, it really does move. But for the moment, it's not moving, which isn't a problem. I don't have a problem with it not moving. So long as it's not going down, I'm kind of happy. I'm not holding any of it right now. And my intention after selling, which I kind of sold pretty much at the top, to be honest. You know, for all intents and purposes, it was within these wick lines here, so pretty much at the top. So I was very happy with that. Extremely happy, obviously, because I would have just, I mean, that would have been horrendous. However, it's not the end of the world for Matic right now. As you can see, when we came out of our last parabolic move, it was a little bit more of a natural progression down. This one was completely horrendous, so we can't really look at these in the same way. And what we can say for the moment, and this is only for the moment, I mean, time frames are very important when it comes to trading things, because time frames show accumulation, redistribution. They also show at the moment how all our moving averages are converging into one almost blur, which gives you absolutely no edge whatsoever when there's been no trading volume and or action. They just all blend into one. You basically don't have an edge at all, and you have to have an edge to trade, otherwise you're gambling, and I don't like to gamble. It's not my thing. The only thing we've got going for us at the moment is the fact that we are converging in on it into this little zone here on the daily, which means that within a certain amount of time we're going to have a big move either up or down. My fear is that if Bitcoin continues to be bullish as it is, and makes those giant moves up, and it makes its way to 9,000, then 950, and breaks that support, that resistance, and then it continues after then sats are going to be absolutely annihilated out of these small cap coins like Matic, which means that you know, no one's going to want to trade it, because everyone's going to want to trade Bitcoin, and why wouldn't you? Because that will be where the money is, and the top cap alts, which will also be making significant gains. Small caps will suffer quite hard. Some of them might even be finished with for maybe a 4 to 6 month period before they make maybe all-time lows, or something happens within their network which, you know, gives it a bit of a pump. I am a little bit suspicious that Matic will not survive this bullish Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin can hang around this area between 7,000 and 8,000, or should we say 7,500 and 8,500, if it can hang around that level for a short period of time, then maybe Matic can break out to the up. But at the moment, things are looking scarily and eerily bearish for it, as we have these impending death crosses on both Satoshis and on Tether, but they haven't happened yet, which, you know, arguably would mean that we are still, you know, we still have a golden cross. Even though the golden cross was here, we still have that bullish golden cross that's playing out. The death cross hasn't yet played out, so at any moment we could completely launch, but we might not. We just don't know. Anyway, I think I better leave it there. I think I've got some more chores to do. So I hope you had a bit of an insight into what's likely to happen with these. And like I say, Bitcoin is going to dominate the market at the moment. If we all eyes are on Bitcoin, it's making all the big moves today. But the rejection is here. If we break above there, then yeah, 9,500, couldn't really see it being too much of a problem. The problem is going to be with our mate Matic. Anyway, have a nice evening. Thanks for watching. Take care.